You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Excited you could join me today on this Weight Loss and Wellness Wednesday, where we're going to be going over and covering really in-depth how to fix a slow metabolism. So a couple weeks back on episode 845, I went through what no one ever tells you about losing weight. And I explained that there's a big difference between losing the last 5 to 10 pounds versus 40 to 50 pounds versus 100 plus pounds. So hopefully you tuned into that show. But what I want to do today is this. I want to help share with you what we do in my private concierge practice to help people who are stuck, who are not able to lose the weight, and help them figure out why that is. Because it can be extremely frustrating when you're looking at, trying to exercise more, you're trying to eat less, but it's just not working. So what we do at that point is we show people step by step, there's a reason why your body will not release the weight, why you cannot tap into fat burning. And no, it's just because you have not become fat adapted. It's not about that. What we're actually looking at is how the human body works, how it gets you into certain fat accumulating based states, and what you can do about it. So my goal by the end of this show is to actually have you leave with a game plan of knowing where you're at currently right now and knowing then where you can get to. So what I want to do is I want to help you figure out where you're at, like where you're stuck. And then you can just say, okay, I've checked that box off. Now let me move on to the next thing, because I'm telling you right now, I don't believe that there's anyone alive who cannot help themselves to get well or take that weight off. And I believe it's one and the same. I believe the human body begins to accumulate body fat or weight, or as you'll see today, water retention, when it's in an unhealthy state, when it's inflamed, when it's sick, when it's imbalanced, or when it believes it's in some type of survival-based state. Those are many of the different states that you can get into. And, these things happen because of toxicity. You'll see a lot of reasons today why, and I'll explain them to you. I'll show that you can back that up with real science. And then, of course, once you've figured out what it is, like what your roadblock is, what your obstacle is, then you're able to remove that. And you could do that through naturopathic medicine. You could do that through real science. And that's the thing is we can prove these things today. We really can. And that allows people, I believe, the data to just say, okay, here's why I've been stuck for the last year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever it's been, or my whole life. And this is what I can do to get myself back on track. So the first place I want to start is this, is that we know now you can figure it out. So what do? Well, the first step we do is this, is where are you holding the weight? So if I can see someone across the computer on Skype, or I can see them in person, or any of my health coaches can see you, we can say, oh, okay, here's where you're holding the weight. And one of the things that we can say to people is if you're holding the weight all over, meaning you just accumulate body fat all over the body, we can first ask you this. Have you started a good nutrition plan yet? And the answer is either yes or no. And a lot of people will say this, well, I eat pretty well. And we just ask okay, well, what exactly does that mean? And please don't sugarcoat it for us, because we don't want to ask you to do more than you have to do if you haven't been eating well 9 out of 10 meals. If you haven't been eating well for the week and only enjoying one flex meal per week. Flex meal is our new term for cheat meal. And that basically means you can have whatever you'd like at one meal per week. But have you been doing that? Or has it been at work, a little bit of candy sneaks in, and sometimes a couple nights a week, I might have a little bit of alcohol. And then, there's an occasional bread that sneaks in maybe twice a week, 3 times a week. Well, okay, so sure, you're being pretty good most of the time, but you're not being good over the course of a day. So that's what we just say, listen, don't sugarcoat it for us, because you might just need to get on a really good nutrition plan. That's it. And so we ask them that. And if that's the case, well, that's it. That's an easier one. It honestly is. We have something called the Fatlocity diet plan that we give to every one of our body transformation clients in Boston at our personal training center. So we have 2 centers in Boston. One is for functional medicine and wellness, and the other is for personal training, body transformation, nutrition. So we're able to help people kind of in both regards. And some people have just, deep wellness-based issues. And that's, of course, what we do in the functional medicine practice. And then the personal training and nutrition practice is where we help people transform their body, even if they've never been able to do that in the past. And so we give them this nutrition plan, and it's 21 days. And, a lot of people get a similar version, whether they're on the Dr. Cabral Detox or the Candida and Bacterial Overgrowth Protocol. But it's an elimination diet. It works exceptionally well because what we're doing is we're focused on anti-inflammatory foods, low glycemic foods. It's really great. And so that helps people get back to homeostasis. And a lot of times it's all they need. And so that's why we don't need to go overboard. And you just have to be honest with yourself. Like, here's the thing. Nobody's judging you. If you're pretty good most of the day, but not the whole day, well, that can hold you back. And I want to be honest with you. You have to be good for the whole day for at least a week to really just see if that's going to work. And I want to share with you the reason why. Most people are not telling you this. It's like, you can give yourself a little treat once a day. Well, you can't. And that's because if your blood sugar isn't balanced yet, that's going to throw off your blood sugar. It's going to stop your fat burning. But the other thing is that no matter what, whether you're eating all sorts of different types of breads, whether it's gluten-free bread, regular bread, whatever bread you want, it's inflammatory. It's a processed food. And the problem is that inflammation in your body can last anywhere from just 8 hours, just a minor offense, up to 36 hours. That's a long time. That's more than a day of being inflamed from one meal. And as you can see now, why you really need to be good, good, as I say, it's not good or bad, but like good in terms of staying on your nutrition plan in order to decrease that inflammation. So that's why let's not go overboard if all we need to do is get the body clean and back on track. Now, again, you might have your favorite nutrition plan, but it should be it should be a functional medicine, essentially elimination diet. You can use the one in the rain barrel effect. So I give that to you literally for free, essentially, in the book. I say free, even though there's a cost of the rain barrel effect, but it's 12, 15 years of my work in a book that you can buy on Amazon for maybe like $12 or so. And all profits are donated to charity. Like everything's in that book. So, but if you don't want to follow that, you just kind of want to be given the tools that you can do. Well, you can follow the Fatlocity plan for sure, like that will work. Or you can just do the Dr. Cabral Detox. Or if you're working with a functional medicine practitioner, you can follow their functional medicine elimination-based diet. So there's a lot of ways that you can do this. Honestly, you just have to do that, right? You just have to do it for 21 days, and you're going to see tremendous results. Even if you don't do it for 21 days, if you do it for 10 days, you go through 2 weekends, you'll know if it's working for you. So that's what I want you to do. That's step one, okay? If you're kind of holding weight all over the body. The second step is this. It's after the nutrition, believe it or not, is are you exercising? Meaning like, are you moving your body? Are you doing that 3 times a week? A lot of people will ask you to do it 5 times a week. They'll ask you to do it 6 times a week, maybe even 7. I think that's too much, okay? I don't think anyone needs to be working their body, working out 7 days a week, nor should they be. I actually think it's much too taxing on the body. So here's the deal, though. Are you moving your body Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Meaning like every other day, essentially. Don't do it Monday and Tuesdays and then take off 5 days in a row, okay? That doesn't not work as well. You need to keep that metabolism stoked to a certain degree, but I need you to keep in mind this, is that exercise is not just about burning calories, like going out for a run, like, oh, how many calories did you burn? 500 calories, 1,000 calories, like whatever the souped up machine says it is, even though half the time they're not telling the truth of how many calories you're actually burning, which is why you can't go buy those exercise machines. Okay, here's the deal though. I want you to move your body for so many other reasons. One of the reasons is this, is that you'll be better able to metabolize glucose, which just means sugar, which means coming from all carbohydrates, for the next day, essentially, for the next 24 hours, okay? It could be longer, but let's just go with day. So if you move your body, you're going to be better able to utilize those carbohydrates. And carbohydrates are actually good for you, contrary to popular belief right now. You just don't want to go overboard for your body. And of course, what is overboard for your body? Well, it means that if you are unable to lose weight, we're going to want to stick to mainly vegetables. And I'll talk about that closer towards the end of the show today. But the exercise also helps to move that lymphatic system. And I want to talk about that next. But you have to move the lymph in order to drain the body of toxins. It's just so incredibly powerful because as you're oxidizing body fat, your body fat is actually filled with toxins, stored toxins. So then the interstitial milieu, which is the fluid around all the cells in your body, needs to literally move that out of your body. One of the easiest ways to do that is through the lymphatic system, which can also push it through the liver, push it through your intestines, colon specifically, and move it through the skin as well. So really, really important that you get that body moving. Another part of that is being able to better utilize the nutrition you're taking into your body, right? So exercise will actually help you to uptake protein. So it will increase protein synthesis for the most part if you're doing some good weight training. And then it will also boost mood and mindset. And what does that do? Well, in my opinion, it gives you the energy and it gives you the motivation to want to do all the other little things in your life well. Meaning like, going for a walk and eating the right foods. Because if you are exercising, you don't want to throw that off by having pizza that night. So like if you're doing that exercise that afternoon or whether it's first thing in the morning, it sets you up to try to eat better through the entire day. Those two things are just paramount, right? They're key. You have to do that first. So when you're trying to figure out why you're not able to lose the weight, just be honest with yourself. How many days in a row have you gone without eating your typical breads and pastas and processed food? Like anything, I always call it brown or white, right? Anything brown or white. There are exceptions to that, right? Cauliflower can be a really good food for you. That's white. But anything that's just not bright and colorful. All right, how many days in a row have you gone without having those foods? Like that's it, all right? So we need to do that for at least 10 days, I told you. That will show you if you're able to lose weight through nutrition. If you're not, we're going to move on next to what happens when you can't lose weight anymore through the nutrition. And then also, we move on to that exercise. Like, have you been moving your body 3 days a week? Remember, as human beings, we're meant to be being and moving. We really do need to move these bodies. So we need to walk for our 10,000 steps per day. It's as simple as taking a walk in the morning, taking a walk at lunch, taking a walk after dinner. An after dinner walk, I'll talk about that on a future show. It can literally change the metabolism. I want to talk about that on a future show, so I'll save that for later. That would literally give you the 10,000 steps per day. Just move that body and walk. Okay, now the exercise, the formal exercise can be as little as 20 to 30 minutes, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It can be done at home, like literally at home. And I'll be talking about this tomorrow on our Training Thursday show. So stay tuned for that. But you need to move that body 3 days per week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or maybe even Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, all right? Every other day, that will work. Okay, now let's say you've done the nutrition. Okay, you've put in your 21 days, you've put in your exercise, and you're saying, you know what? I'm still not losing weight. I've plateaued. What do I do? My metabolism is just so slow. I'm losing like 0 to a half a pound a week. Okay, well, here's what we need to do. You first have to realize that if you're truly looking to lose weight, if you're doing all the right things, you can lose about 1% of your body weight per week. So that equates to a 150-pound person losing about 1.5 pounds per week. Now, some weeks, like I've said before on our Wellness and Weight Loss Wednesdays, some weeks might be a half pound, some weeks might be 3 pounds, some weeks might be 1 pound, some weeks might be 2 pounds. But at the end of the month, you look at every week and you just say, have I lost 6 pounds in 4 weeks? That's an average of 1.5 pounds per week for someone that's 150 pounds. Now, of course, you can lose a lot more faster in the beginning of your weight loss journey, especially if you're doing things like the Dr. Cabral detox or you're doing an elimination diet or you're really ramping up your exercise, any of those things. But ongoing, you should be able to lose approximately 1% of your body weight. That's pretty much set in stone. That's an easy thing to accomplish if your body is firing on all cylinders. That's a healthy way to do it. Okay, so what happens though if you look like this is another thing. If you're holding weight all over, that's one thing. But what if your body looks swollen? So I want you to just do assessment. Good. Here's the thing. Not judging yourself as good or bad, not coming down on yourself. Do you look puffy? Do you look like you're holding a lot of water? Especially when you wake up in the morning, is your face kind of swollen? Or by the end of the day, is your belly swollen? A lot of these things can point towards toxicity. I want you to tune into a show that I just did if you didn't get a chance to listen to it yet. Okay, it's on episode 846, and it's called Find Out Your Total Toxic Load. It's just a quiz. So it's a quiz, and then on the show notes on stephencabral.com/846, you can actually print out the PDF. It's from the book. It's strange because it's like filled up on half of the page because the book's 5.5 by 8.5 inches. But you can just print it out, and you can take that toxicity quiz whenever you want. I recommend actually doing it every 12 weeks. That's when I do my seasonal detox. And it just lets you know, like, have you been accumulating more toxins? Yes or no? Like, it's very simple. It's very straightforward. We use it in my practice all the time. It's used in functional medicine practices all over the world. So what you want to figure out is this. Is your body holding a lot of weight? And it is holding a lot of toxic water weight because you're toxic, because your body literally is holding onto a lot of toxins. Now, it could be gut-based toxins, candida, yeast overgrowth. It could be SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. Could be parasites, like you could be, really swelling around the gut because of that. Could be food sensitivities for sure. Like you could run a food sensitivity test to find out your food sensitivities. You could run an organic acids test to see if you have yeast overgrowth or Clostridium difficile overgrowth. You can see how hard the liver glutathione levels are being produced on that. You can run a stool test to see if you have parasites or bacterial overgrowth or H. pylori. That will all show you, but you can also take that quiz to see how toxic your body is. Now remember, if you're feeling more and more swollen, it's a really good sign that your body's congested. The liver's congested, the kidneys get congested. It doesn't mean that they're not working. It simply means this, that they're literally overloaded, that their job is being taxed. Yes, they're doing their job, but they're doing it to too high a degree where now there is some leftover toxin still in the bloodstream. A lot of people don't believe this, but there's no such thing as belief about this. I'm not trying to turn this into some type of like he said, she said. No, this is verifiable by science. You can literally take a toxicity quiz. You can take an organic acids test, a stool test, a toxicity urine-based quiz to look at all the toxins in your body. This is very simple. This is very straightforward. And that's why, people, they just say like, oh, I don't believe in that. Well, there's nothing to believe in. Like this is science. This has already been proven by both conventional medicine, by naturopathic medicine. It was proven 6,000 years ago in Ayurveda. Like it's proven. It's not something to even believe in. It's just there. And you can verify it by actually seeing the toxins that come out on a toxicity test by any measure necessary. Like you get to test it, honestly. And so that's why I just say there doesn't need to be an argument about this. You can be upset about it. That's okay. But once you come to grips with it, you say, okay, this is a real thing. Now, what do we do to take care of it? Like believe me, like I get it. I was upset before, like, hey, why do I have this? How do I get this? And then I was like blaming doctors. Like, why do they put me on so many antibiotics? And I was blaming then my parents, like, hey, like you guys should have known better. But no, it's not about that. It's just they don't know better, right? Like my parents didn't know better because that's just how we grew up. And that's what my pediatrician told us. And that's what our dermatologist said, hey, take these antibiotics for skin-based conditions. And the doctors told that, not because they were trying to harm me, but simply because that's what they were taught in medical school. So like it's nobody's fault. We have to get away from like who's right, who's wrong. It's not about that. There's a lot of people who say like, oh, like I don't believe that person because they're not a medical doctor or they're not a dietitian or they're not whatever. To me, none of that makes any sense because first of all, a lot of this isn't even taught in school. Like medical doctors, by the way, don't even take nutrition in medical school. If so, they take one course out of all 4 years. And so they're not even studying nutrition. So even to take nutrition advice from a medical doctor wouldn't even make sense. Meaning like you should learn it from a nutritionist or you should learn it from someone who's studied in nutrition or a naturopathic doctor or someone like that, a health coach. But so again, like honestly, it doesn't even matter where the information is coming from is what I'm trying to say is that facts are facts. And that's really what we're looking at right now is we're trying to rebalance the body. And if your body is toxic, you need to remove those toxins. A few amazing things you can do are things, and again, these are all written in the Rain Barrel Effect, are things such as Epsom salt baths, Epsom salt soaks. Those are easy to do, especially for a stressed body. Infrared saunas, amazing, or even just a regular sauna, okay? Even just sweating by exercising works. Jumping on a rebounder, doing a coffee enema as long as that's indicated for your particular condition. Doing the 21-day Dr. Bell detox for a deep dive into removing these toxins by ramping up what's called phase 1 and phase 2 liver detoxification. Amazingly well. So if you find that your body's just puffy and swollen, you can lab test to figure out why, or you can get right into all of these detoxification-based protocols. But believe me, it only gets worse. Take it from me. I mean, I literally had swollen glands in my neck and in my armpits and in my groin, like all over. All my lymph nodes were swollen, and that's a sure sign of toxicity because those lymph nodes are the cleaning centers. Like think of it this way. Everything essentially above and below those lymph nodes are getting brought to the lymph, especially as it travels on its way up to the thoracic duct, which is up near the left part of the chest. And as it stops into these cleaning centers, it's actually bringing more white blood cells. A conglomeration of white blood cells are in the nodes to be able to clean, to break down these pathogens and then remove it from the body. So my lymph nodes were swollen all over, and that's a sure sign that my body was fighting viral infections and toxins and all sorts of things going on. So really, really important on that. So first we have the nutrition, and then we have the exercise, and then we have the detoxification-based protocols. All right, let's say you're still good on all of those, but you're saying, I still can't lose weight. All right, now what's next? Next up is your blood sugar. Is your blood sugar balanced? And here's an easy way. I've talked about this many times in the Cabral concept. That's why I really do hope that you go back and listen to previous episodes. Here's why. With blood sugar, it's a simple test that you can do. You use a glucometer, all right? Glucometer, glucometer. Just go to stephencabral.com/podcast. Type into the search bar glucometer. You will find the links to purchase that on Amazon. You might even be able to purchase a good brand at your local drug store. So why use this? You say, oh, well, that's for diabetics. Yes, it is. Exactly. You're using it to see what your blood sugar level looks like. It's a little at-home test where you just literally poke your finger. The same thing we do for food sensitivity testing. Same thing we test the thyroid. All of those things, you just poke the finger. It's so easy to do right at home. Test your fasting glucose. I just talked about this on, let me see if I can find it right here. I don't even know if I can find it right away. But essentially, you're going to look at it from the perspective of, are you even in a fat burning state? A lot of people say like, oh, I need to do the keto diet to get myself fat adapted. It's not the keto diet. It's not that. Like, we have to understand that. It's getting the sugar out of your bloodstream so you get to a normal blood glucose level. And everyone should wake up in the morning between a 75 and 95. I wish I could remember the number right now of the podcast, but that's why if you go back and you check those out, you'll see that I gave it in a more of a European or Australian, I believe, terms, and then the United States terms as well. So what you do is you wake up in the morning and you make sure you're between a 75 and 95. If you're there, good, your glucose is doing well. If not, well, you need to get those blood sugar readings back into balance in order to tap into body fat. All right, the next step you have to do is 2 hours to 3 hours maximum after a meal, your blood sugar needs to be back between the 75 and 95 parameters as well. That's what it was on. There we go. It was on episode 859, stephencabral.com/859. How and why to make the move to 3 meals a day. Okay, I talked about that on that show. That goes a little bit more in depth into the blood sugar and why you shouldn't be doing snacking and eating all day if you're trying to lose weight. Check out that show for that. Okay, that was Wellness and Weight Loss Wednesday. That was last week. Okay, so here's the deal. We need to get the blood sugar back into balance. If you're not doing that and your blood sugar is not correct, you're going to have such a challenging time, such a hard time. And I don't want you to be frustrated. That's the thing. I mean, I'm going through it step by step today so that you understand. And if you're a health practitioner, you can do this with your clients or patients. You can help anybody achieve their goals by controlling the variables. All we're doing right now is controlling the variables. Nutrition, exercise, toxicity, then we just control blood sugar. Okay, what's up next? Not able to lose weight? Let's check out your adrenals and thyroid. So many people are worried about a low thyroid, and I agree. A low thyroid will slow metabolism, right? It's called the thyroid adrenal hormone test. The best test that I know of. Honestly, we use the best test. Like, that's the bottom line, right? None of these are our tests. We use the best tests available. People are like, why don't you use this test or why don't you use that test? Because I've used them. Like, I've literally used them. Lab companies send me their lab tests all the time so that I can promote them and use them. Here's what I don't do. I don't promote lab tests that do not work for what I'm looking for. Here's what I do. They send me a lab test typically for free. I purchase another one. I do both at the same time. My samples, okay? If your samples from the lab do not come back exactly the same for me, who took them at exactly the same time, and I just put them under two names. I have this pseudo name that I put it under every time I do another lab test. Then I don't use your lab. So I'll tell you right now, all the labs we use always check out. They always check out. I pay my own money to make sure that they all are basically double blind. The lab doesn't know who's sending them in. I'm doing mine, of course, but they don't know the other person who just sent it in from a different address under a different name. Okay, so here's the deal. The thyroid adrenal hormone test. If you have high cortisol levels, okay, or low, but a lot of times higher, at least at some point during the day, especially in the evening, which really throws off the diurnal rhythm. I keep going back to the book, The Rain Barrel Effect. The Rain Barrel Effect explains to you, if you don't get your cortisol levels down at night, difficult time burning body fat and sleeping, okay? One and the same with blood sugar. So here's the deal. If your thyroid is low, you also have to look at it. Is it from a shortage of nutrients or is it from a toxicity as well? Well, that lab test is fantastic. The complete thyroid is great as well for looking. If you have Hashimoto's, remember I told you how to do this before on a previous show as well. If you have Hashimoto's, you run something called the complete thyroid test. If you have weight loss-based issues, you run the thyroid adrenal hormone test. All right, that's a great test. If you don't control your adrenals, meaning cortisol output, and you do not control your thyroid, that is the next step. You have to do that, okay? Nutrition checked out, exercise checked out, toxicity checked out, blood sugar checked out. Then you do your adrenals and your thyroid. If that checks out, now you move on to our last one, typically the last one, which is this. Estrogen to progesterone imbalances, all right? The last step we see in our practice, because remember, A lot of people say, well, it's because of candida overgrowth or SIBO. Yes, but that was step number 3 with the toxicity, okay? Because gut bugs, remember I had the top 10 toxins in my book. Gut bugs is one of those, and that's yeast overgrowth and bacterial overgrowth. So now in women, we see this thing called estrogen dominance, right? So they run their thyroid hormone adrenal, right? It's the same exact lab because that gives you the estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA. It's an amazing lab. It even gives your hemoglobin A1C for blood sugar, and it gives your insulin, and it gives you vitamin D. Incredible test. I mean, honestly, it's an incredible test. So here's the deal. When we look at estrogen, a lot of times with women, it's totally normal. Like it's totally normal. We ask them if they're premenopausal to take it about 5 days to 7 days before day 1 of menstruation. And estrogen is usually somewhere around a 1.5, like absolutely perfect. No issues with estrogen, okay? But what happens is this. Their progesterone is low. And when the progesterone is low, it makes it look like estrogen is high to the body. And the reason is it is high in terms of the ratio. That's what a lot of practitioners are missing and a lot of just doctors in general. And then, of course, you know, the patients suffer because they're given misinformation, not because the doctors don't want to help, but because they look at estrogen. Oh, that looks fine. And even progesterone, that can look fine, but the ratio is off. Like progesterone should just be a lot higher during the luteal phase of that cycle, especially around days 21 to day 24. All right, so we look at that, and that will cause the body to retain more water, mood will get lower, like all of the normal symptoms of PMS 5 days to 10 days before a female's cycle. So really important to look at that. I mean, those are the steps that we go through in my practice. I told you on the Cabral concepts, I'm going to try to give you everything for free that we do in our practice. Like this is exactly how we take people through it. Not kind of how we take people through it. Like this is exactly. So when people on our Cabral support group write in, they're saying, I'm struggling with this, and this. I'm not losing as much weight as I would like to. Please check out this podcast. It honestly takes you through how you're able to correct the imbalances in the body, how you can fix that slow metabolism, because there's always a reason why. So let's say you don't want to run the toxicity test, the organic acids test, the hormone or the thyroid adrenal hormone test, any of those. You can start going through the process, okay? You can do, to take care of the autoimmune is part of it, but to take care of the elimination diet and to take care of the toxicity, you could literally just do a 21-day Dr. Ball detox. So if you do the 21-day Dr. Ball detox, you should lose, like even if you're struggling with weight, like it's just so hard for you, you should lose at least 5 to 10 pounds, okay? Because most people are losing 5 to 10 pounds in 7 days. Then the next 7 days, they'll lose somewhere around like another 4 to 5 pounds, and then they'll lose another 4 to 5 pounds. So here's the deal. Or usually it's like 2 to 3 pounds after that. If someone's struggling to lose weight, we've had people lose 21 pounds in 21 days. It just depends on how much weight you have to lose and what your nutrition was, like all the different things like besides that. But remember, people confuse the Dr. Ball detox with like a low-calorie diet. It's not. Eat as much as you would like of the good foods on the list at lunch and dinner. You're doing the specific shakes on days 1 and 2, and then for breakfast and mid-afternoon snack. It is the nutrients in it that speeds up detoxification. That's what people don't understand. I can't go through all of that today, so tune back in to episode 846. Episode 846 explains to you your total toxic load. On 823, it tells you the right way to complete a 7, 14, or 21-day functional medicine detox because you don't have to use the Dr. Ball detox. Use whoever's you would like. And then on episode 627, it explains the difference between a cleanse and a detox. People get these confused. I don't want to go over that today. That could be a whole episode, which I did on previous episodes. So do the 21-day functional medicine detox. Choose ours, the Dr. Ball detox. I'm actually doing mine. I do mine once a season, just like in Ayurvedic-based methodologies. You do them every season. So my summer detox is always before the 4th of July or right after it. This year, I'm doing my detox right before the 4th of July. So I'm doing mine June 25th. If you want to hang out with me in our online support group, go to cabralsupportgroup.com. That's where I will be posting almost every day while I'm on my own 7-day detox. It's a lot of fun for me. I have I think there's at least 30 plus people joining me in that support group, which will be a lot of fun. And I know a bunch of our own Cabral coaches are doing the same, which is going to be a really, really great for us to all do it together. So feel free to join me if you've already ordered your Dr. Ball detox. Looking forward to doing that with you. And then, well, I'll be posting there, of course, but so do the Dr. Ball detox or your favorite functional medicine detox, completely up to you. If you don't want to do the lab testing, right? If you don't want specific protocols for you. Then what I do, and just so again, I'm just recommending you can choose to do whatever you feel best for you. but I do what's called my Dr. Cabral Daily Protocol. What it is, it's a daily nutritional support shake. That's all my multivitamins, all my minerals. It's my vegan protein powder, and I make a smoothie every morning. With that, I do my greens every morning. That's my 22 organic fruits and vegetables. It's in a powder. It's very simple. It's called the Daily Fruit and Vegetable Blend, and I take my probiotic. Literally, it's that easy. I take the daily probiotic support. So that's all together. It's less than $5 a day. It's the same thing as everyone going into Starbucks and getting a fancy latte, but you get all of your vitamins and minerals for the day. You get all your electrolytes. You get your essential amino acids. You get 15 grams of vegan-based protein. You get your antioxidants. You get 50 billion live great probiotic for the gut. You get 22 organic fruits and vegetables. It's pretty amazing. So that's how I'm able to kind of supply my body with all the nutrients that it needs. And remember, a lot of times your body is holding onto the weight because it's not missing calories, but it's missing nutrients. That's what we found, is that when we start to feed people's bodies for like 6 to 12 weeks with a massive amount of micronutrients, which is vitamins and minerals and all these, organic fruits and veggies, all these things, their bodies respond because they're now getting more nutrition, and their bodies know that they can let go of some of this stored body fat. Really important. So after you do that, then you can move on to things like the omega-3 support to help calm inflammation. You can use the daily digestive enzyme, which helps break down your whole food meals better. You don't need to do it with the smoothie. You can, but it's better to do it with your whole food meals because that's when you really need it, so that you extract more of the nutrition from meals. And then people ask me all the time about weight loss supplements. I'm telling you, really only after you just use the nutritional supplements that I spoke about, should you start to then look at other specific things, like things to help with glucose, etc. And the reason I mention that is that you have to give your body the nutrients it needs first, and then you can look into like the specific things. But remember, specific things treat symptoms. What we're looking to do is work at a deep foundational level. So that's it. Hopefully this show was helpful. I really wanted to make it for both health coaches and other doctors who work with weight loss-based patients and coaching clients. And I wanted to make it for everyone, so that if you've been struggling step by step, nutrition, exercise, toxicity, blood sugar, adrenals and thyroid, estrogen dominance, look at those things. If you do that, believe me, you will be able to figure out the underlying root cause holding you back from rebalancing your body, getting it healthy. And remember, a healthy body can't be overweight. Take care, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And if this show was helpful, please do feel free to pass it on to anyone else it may serve. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.